week 4 out of 52, you know, another fucking successful week. It's been a great week, honestly. It's been another week of growing. A lot of thinking has been going on, especially these past 3 days. And I want to make this video slightly different compared to the other ones. You know, I thought a lot this week and specifically these last 3 days about my past and how it built me to be the person that I am today, and how grateful I am that it has made me the person that I am today, because I am now having a positive effect in the people around me. I'm having a positive effect for my little siblings, for my older siblings, for my parents, uncles, aunts, anyone just around me in my general vicinity, my classmates. And I don't say this from a place of arrogance. It's just me observing my surroundings. And I'm so grateful for the fact that I've been able to pay attention to my surroundings, get lessons from the mistakes that I have made, apply them in my life, make my life better, but most importantly, make the life of the people that I love around me slightly better as well. It's not like I made a big change. I haven't blessed these people with countless riches or like a mansion, supercars, or I haven't done any of that. But I've been able to give them a different mental framework. I have been able to give them a different mental framework. I make them question the things that they think all the time. That's one of the main things that has made me who I am today. I am constantly questioning why I do the things that I do and if they are actually beneficial for me. That is a key thing that separates me from most people. Most people are on autopilot 24/7. I don't operate like that. I constantly question the things that I do. I often come to the conclusion that I am not doing the most that I could be doing, and I could always be doing more. That's a good thing. People are like, oh, you're so critical on yourself. Like, yeah, well, I need to be. I need to be critical of myself. Nobody else is going to do it for me. I mean, of course, my parents and my siblings, excuse me. Of course, my parents, my older siblings and my younger siblings, they're gonna criticize me and stuff, but I don't want it to come from them. I want them to criticize me for things like what I heard this week. I was on the phone with my mother this week. She told me that I look tired and that I should rest. And is it necessary for me to post a reel every day? I was like, Mother, I can't rest. That's not an option for me. I don't give myself the luxury of not doing these things. I post every day. I have to. That's what I said I was going to do, and now I'm doing it. The only day I don't post is Sunday, because when I post a YouTube video, YouTube/Rumble video, right? I am very, very keen on making sure that I am a man of my word, a man that means what he says and says what he means. That's all that I have for myself. That's everything. If I were to lose my apartment and my car and all the money in the bank, I would have my word, and people would know that my word means everything. People around me know that my word means everything. My girlfriend knows that. My mother knows that. My little brothers know that. My family in general knows that I am a very, very, very disciplined person who cares a lot about what people's perception of me is. And not like just like, oh, he's vain. No, like actually. How do they perceive me, and why do they perceive me the way they perceive me? Most of the time, it's like, I don't care how you perceive me, because your perception is incredibly wrong. You're not seeing me through the lens that you should be seeing me, because your view of reality is wrong. Right? But I digress. That's going besides the point. So like I was saying, right? I was thinking a lot about my past and what it built me. The trials and tribulations that I've gone through, have been immense. I'm only 22 years old, but they've been crazy. So like I was mentioning earlier, all the trials and tribulations I've gone through, and why I was grateful for them, how it affected me and my family, and why I'm happy it did. I went through the things that I went through. I was going through every single thing. It's a Rolodex. Wow, this happened to me, that happened to me, this other thing happened to me. But also when I was thinking about that, it came to mind all the people that doubted me as a person. I've always been a very ambitious person. I've always wanted to shoot very, very high. And there have been a lot of people who doubted my ambitions, family members included, especially when I wasn't as serious and as disciplined. Teachers, counselors. I remember one time I sat down with a counselor. My mother was there. And I told this counselor that I wanted to be a millionaire. She looked at me like I was crazy. I don't even remember what her exact answer was, but she did not believe me at all. But she also complimented the fact that I had very good English. You gotta keep in mind, I went to a school that was 5 minutes away from the Mexican-American border. Most kids did not speak fluent English. A lot of them crossed the border every day just to go to an American school. And I've always been a kid that read a lot of books. I sound like a crazy amount of books, but I read books in general. And that already made me stand out. And I had a vocabulary that was more extensive than the next person. And that's always been the case, One key thing that happened when I was thinking about all these past memories, all these past people that doubted me, all the trials and tribulations, it reinvigorated that drive that I had. Week 3, I discussed how I was going through the motions just because I had to, and I wasn't really feeling it. Doesn't matter. I still did everything I needed to do, right? Week 4 was a little bit different. I was more motivated, boom, 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 whatever. And then think about the past, how important it was to form me, and then the effect that it's had, the positive impact that it's had on my family, and how happy, I took me a moment, I sat down for a moment and I just thought about it, and it impacted me emotionally. And it reinvigorated that fire. I can feel it in here. I have it in me. That desire to just keep going because I see where this path is going. I see the light. All right. I went to church today, like I do every Sunday. Pastor was talking about how you give the day to Jesus Christ, our Savior. How you give the past to Him, the present, and the future. By the way, I love telling people that we live in the present, that it's a gift, like it's called the present for a reason. It's a gift. I tell people that all the time and it makes me smile because I remember and then they can experience it as well. And I think that's a beautiful thing because it's true. All that we have is right now. That's it. That's all we have. We have the now. We are not guaranteed the future. We already went through the past. People die from heart attacks in the middle of their sleep all the time. But I've been living with that mentality that the pastor said. I don't live in the past. I don't worry. I was living through what the pastor said about giving the present, the past, and the future to God. I've been doing that subconsciously. When he spoke about it, I was like, oh, I already do that. Because the pastor's teaching was the following. The substructure was anxiety and stress are negative things. And that if you give your day to the Lord, you're not going to have anxiety and stress. Because when you have anxiety and stress, you're doing it for you. And that it's a bad thing. But I don't view it that way. Not even a little bit. I disagree with them at that point. I think the anxiety and stress that I have on a daily basis is a blessing given to me from God. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like he claims it to be. Like all the negative emotions that I feel are a good thing. They're part of the human experience that God has gifted me with. So when he was saying, give the day to God, give the past to God, and give the future to God, I was like, oh yeah, I already do that subconsciously. I don't live in the past. I don't worry about it. I'm actually grateful for everything that I went through in the past that has formed me who I am now in the present, the gift that God has given us, And in the present, I just make sure to try extremely hard. I make sure to take advantage of the present that God has given us, right? Okay, I woke up today. Thank you, Lord. I appreciate it. But besides my words, because my words, they mean stuff, but I want my actions to mean stuff as well. So, okay, I already said I'm grateful for it. How am I going to show him that I'm grateful for it? Well, I'm going to show him I'm grateful for the day by actually taking advantage of the day, making sure I get the things I need to get done, right? Make sure I go to school and actually try and become very focused and become the best student I can. And then when I get out of school, I come over here and I eat healthy foods, and then I go to the gym and I post my reel for the day and I edit and I keep up with my family and I keep up with my girlfriend and I make sure everybody's okay. And I clean up the house because I make sure that I don't want to live in a pigsty, all these little things. If I make sure I am productive, that I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do, then I feel that I'm honoring God in that way. And the anxiety and the stress that I feel just come along as part of the gift that God has given me for the day. I don't view them as a bad thing. And then the future is like, well, the future is not guaranteed. That's in God's will. I'm not going to worry about that anymore. I used to, like a lot. What if this happens? What if that happens? Well, it happens, then you have to deal with it. Of course, a little bit of forward level planning is not going to kill you. And it's not a sin, but like obsessing over things that you can't control, like, oh, I'm going to die one day. One of my family members is going to die. Like things are just inherent in life. Why would you worry about them? They're just going to clog up your brain in a negative way, and it's not going to be beneficial at all. If you constantly question the meaning of life 24/7, well, like the meaning of life is to experience life. You're born, you experience it, you die. Experience life. The point of life is life. It is to be here and experience it to the fullest, to be content with it. You are a human. Enjoy the human experience. There was this quote that I heard. I forget who it's from. If I find out while I'm editing the video, I'll post it. I'll put it down here. But it goes something like this. People say we are humans going through spiritual experience, but we're actually spiritual beings going through a human experience. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty right to me. Because most people forget that we live in mind, body, and soul. Those three. Like, the key essence of you is not your mind or your body, it's your soul. It's like you can feel it in here. You have a soul. And when people feel empty on the inside, it's like, well, that's your soul speaking to you, Or like when you're depressed, that's because your soul can tell, okay, boom, so you're having a physical reaction. Like if you're not doing things properly, you become depressed. I don't become depressed because I make sure that I do the things that I'm supposed to do. Yeah, I'll feel sad every now and then, but that isn't part of the human experience. It doesn't make me depressed. But yeah, I knew this video was going to be quite a bit different because I was in a different headspace. I'm in a more reflective mood, a little bit more emotional than usual, but again, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And being slightly more emotional than what I usually am just helped invigorate the spirit that I have in my body and my soul. Like I have that, I feel it as I'm currently speaking these ideas and thoughts that I have in my mind. Like this is super raw, super raw. I had some sort of idea of what I was going to be explaining to you guys, but I mean, it's just straight from me, who I am as a person and what I feel. I might be completely wrong in all of this, and everything that I'm doing, but It seems right because my life is improving and so is everybody else's around me. So how could it be wrong? It seems like a universal truth. And that's all I'm trying to shoot for, universal truths. Because once you find those universal truths, right, the laws of the universe, like the law of attraction, you become unstoppable. Learn about the people who use the laws of the universe to their advantage. These people become unstoppable. They become forces of nature and they become legends. Everybody recognizes them. The greats are the greats for a reason. I become very focused or aware of the achievements and the knowledge that these people had, right? The great philosophers of times past and why they thought the way they thought. People underestimate how smart our ancestors are. They're the whole reason we're here. People want to claim we're the best generation there is. Are we really? I don't know. I feel like it's more of a cycle thing. We go through these phases of humanity where we come up, we get really, really successful, powerful, and then boom, down again, and boom, up again, and boom, boom, boom. It's a cycle. It's a circle. Never ending. Part of the beauty of it though. And once you recognize those cycles, right, that are there because of the laws of the universe, that if you pay attention to, you can recognize the cycles, you can recognize the patterns, which is something I've been teaching my little brother. You recognize the patterns in life. You're able to use those things to your advantage. You're able to use it to make you and your family's life as successful as possible. It's my whole goal. Try very hard to recognize the things around me that are going to make me successful, and in turn, are going to make everybody else around me successful. I want to build wealth, not money, like dollars or pesos or anything like that. I mean wealth, experiences, people, values and attributes that are actually important. Money is just one part of that whole equation. It's the life that you live. Wealth is a type of life that you live. I currently consider myself a wealthy individual because of the mindset that I have, because of my health, and because of the relationship with my family members and other people who I have close to me in my vicinity. That to me is wealth. Fuck the money. Fuck, the material items. It's about the important things in life. It's about the substructure that we need to realize that it's there, that we can understand to a certain degree, because we can't understand everything. Understanding everything is futile. We're human. We are limited by nature. We're just naturally limited beings. If we understand this and we take that information, so we're limited beings. We can't take in all the information that has ever existed or ever will exist. What we can do is control the information that we input into ourselves, which is going to be extremely important because we are limited. We have a set amount of information we can intake. It's like a RAM for a computer, right? Quick access memory, or an SSD, or however you want to think about it. We have a certain amount that we can intake. This is why I'm very careful in the information that I do intake, because it's going to dictate my outcomes as well. We've all seen, if you put tree into a wood chipper, it comes out with a whole bunch of, chopped up wood. Cut the fuck up. If you throw water in there, nothing's going to happen to the water, It all depends on the inputs. What are you putting into this machine of your body? If you know what you're putting in, then you might find out where you're gonna get out. Or at least you can start to figure out, okay, this person, you look at the greats back in the day. What did they input into their body? What kind of knowledge did they ingest? Why were they ingesting that kind of knowledge? Okay, so if I do that kind of thing, if I ingest that kind of knowledge, if I think the way they were thinking, will I get the same kind of output, or will I get something different? You need to think about all these different outcomes. And then here's the beautiful thing about this. It's all very complex and convoluted, and it can become a maze of everything, but I think that's also beautiful. Also, you need to take action. The ideas aren't going to go anywhere if you don't take action. You can have these beautiful ideas in your head and think about the meaning of the universe and how it came about, and it might be correct, but you don't know if you don't take action and actually test out the theories. There's so many intelligent people with IQs through the roof, and they never do anything with their lives because they never took action. That's sad. So much wasted potential. I've met people like this, and incredibly intelligent, but they don't do anything with it. It's terrible. There's a quote from Leonardo da Vinci that is very similar that I posted on my Instagram, and it's along those lines of like, you need to take action. You have to, yeah, it's good to think. That's step number one. Once you start thinking, you already separate yourself from the crowd. So most people don't think. And it's thinking outside the box that you need to do. Because obviously you're gonna think, right? You have to think. But it's thinking outside the box. That's step number one. Think outside the box. Okay, cool. So these are the ideas, these are your theories that you thought when you were thinking outside of the box. Well, now you need to test these. Now you need to test these theories, right? You test the theories. Okay, this one worked, this one didn't work. Why did this one work? Why didn't that one work? Okay, cool. And eventually you narrow it down. You're like, oh, this one seems to be working and it works really well. And you do that for a little while, and you keep doing it and you keep doing it until you become successful. All right, and if it doesn't work, you're like, oh, this was a bad idea. Go back to the drawing board. Keep thinking again. You got to test it again and again and again. You have to go to the iterations. You have to. That's why all the successful entrepreneurs say that failure is a part of their business, because they failed a whole bunch of times to get where they're at. It's just part of it. You have to go through the different iterations of the scientific method, basically. Think about it. This is what scientists do. They come up with a hypothesis. Then they have to test the hypothesis. And then they go through the experiments and everything. And they come to a conclusion, write down the results. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? It's like you using the scientific method in your own life to improve it. I got that from Luke Belmar. Absolute set of a person. But yeah. And like all these ideas, they don't come from me. I have been ingesting content from, like I've mentioned, Luke Belmar, Patrick Bet-David, the Tate brothers, et cetera, et cetera. And they have been a huge influence in my life because I get to hear their ideas, which they got from somebody else, right? And their ideas from great people. You can tell. You can tell when there are ideas from great people because they have great effects. You're like, whoa, it kind of has that shock factor to it. And there's some of the things that these people say when we're extremely successful, and they can offend you because you're like, fuck. That is me. I am that shitty person. Because sometimes someone will describe a shitty person. It's like someone you love describes a characteristic that they hate, and you have that exact characteristic. You're like, oh, damn, that doesn't feel good here, like at all. Obviously not, but okay, now you know that. You can change that. You can do things. You can take steps to change these things through the scientific method or the trial and error or whatever you want to call it, right? There's so many different ways to put it. Bottom line, you have to take action. You have to see your surroundings. You have to be grateful for the day. You have to thank God for it. Don't thank God. Whatever career you have, just don't be an atheist. I don't think that's good for anybody. If you're agnostic, okay, I can kind of understand that you don't know what to believe. That kind of makes sense to me. But atheistic, or like, oh, we come from nothing? Nah, I can't support that. That just doesn't make any sense. Take a psychedelic trip and then tell me we don't come from anything. You're going to be questioning everything, brother, But yeah. I knew this video was going to be different. And I'm glad it is. It was just straight, raw, me expressing the way I think and why I think the way I think, which is kind of the essence of what these videos are, honestly. Kind of getting back to the basis of what I wanted to do. Me getting to express myself so I can hear myself. And I'd be like, okay, I like this, I don't like that, boom, boom, boom. Let's put out the most concise information possible that's going to be effective for the viewership, but also for me. Because when I do these things, I talk to my ideas and I express them. And it's like having a debate with myself, in a sense. Because when I'm saying these things out loud, I'm also questioning it in my head, like, is this accurate? Is this not accurate? I'm going through the thinking process, right? Week 4, basically end of the month. Not just yet, but it's basically end of the month. So month 1 out of 12 done. I can say it's been a success. My life has been improving. The journey is proving to be fruitful. At times there is doubt. At times there are negative emotions. I feel like I cannot do certain things, etc., etc., etc. But we got everything done that we said we were going to get done. We accomplished it. And because of that, my life has gotten better. My relationship with my family has gotten better. My mental state has gotten better. The way I perform has gotten better. Everything is just getting better. I have plans to keep improving these things in the future. There's certain ideas I have in play. Like I mentioned, I have the ideas. Now I'm going to test out my hypotheses through the scientific method, and we're going to see how it affects my life personally. We're still going through the lot. We're still going through the grind with the video game, point of view of it, of grinding through the levels. We're currently in level 22, which is my age. And there's stages to the level. There's 12 stages, which is the months. Stage 1 is complete. We grinded through that level, and we did a pretty good job at grinding. I think that would be another good way of indicating if the grind is successful. If you actually put in the effort to grind, you're going to get results out of it. We actually went through the grind and we got results out of it. And I was also very, very happy throughout most of the grind because I was happy to be alive and just excited to get to live life, I think that's also why I have been performing so well, because I have that vigor inside of me, dude, I want to be alive, and I think this is beautiful. I'm very, very pro-life, very pro-human. How can you beat that? How can you beat that when you have all this positive energy coming from you? You become an unstoppable force within the universe. You become that source of light for other people, which is what I strive to be, and it has been proving to be successful. So week 4 has been great. Let's keep killing it. Deuces.